Hi, hello again, and welcome back to my journey from normal to Norway. It's Thursday night. As I promised, I'm back to talk with you again. And I thought that something I kind of felt like talking about, or at least mentioning, was me learning Norwegian. And that has actually kind of led to some realizations about myself. So here we go. I started learning Norwegian, as I said in the first video, I believe, back in January of 2017, so almost 2 years. That's very exciting. And for those of you interested, I've been using an app on my phone called Memrise, Memrise. And I've been doing the free version of it, so none of the bells and whistles. And I've really been enjoying it. There are 7 levels of Norwegian on there, and I am getting close to being done with the 6th level, which is very, very exciting. So, yeah, I'm not sure how long it'll take me to finish that, but I kind of look forward to seeing where it'll take me. When I tell people that I'm on level 6 out of 7, I feel like they kind of have a reaction of like, oh, you must be, fluent or near fluent. And I'm so not. And I know that. I mean, it's been an interesting journey because, the app has taught me certain words and phrases, but not necessarily the rules of the language, so I've learned, one word and then the past tense of that word, but I don't necessarily know how to make all similar words past tense, if that makes any sense. So it's one of those things where I know how to say certain things, but I don't know that I would feel confident applying some of those things to other words and phrases. But on the flip side, there have been some really cool moments where somebody has said something and I've kind of realized I know how to say that sentence in Norwegian, and it's not necessarily a sentence that the app taught me. It's just me being able to put together words and things like that. And that's been so cool for me to realize in those moments. I know how to say that. Or if somebody will say something or ask something, I'll realize I know how to respond to that. And that's been fun. But I think what I've kind of one of the results that I've enjoyed the most is that now it's gotten to a point where some of those simplest words and phrases are kind of second nature in my head. So, for example, somebody will ask something and I will think and say out loud, I don't know, an answer, but in my head, I will also hear, jeg vet ikke. And that's so awesome. I really enjoyed that. So they're the short, simple phrases, like I'm sorry and please and thank you and, all of that. And I don't know, things like that. But I don't know, the fact that it's just kind of in there naturally at this point is so exciting for me. And I look forward to that continuing. And I do have kind of a hope and a plan and an expectation of myself that I will continue to learn the language to a point where I am fluent. I would love that. That would be really, really cool. And so I kind of mentioned that that learning the language has kind of led to some realizations and kind of, I guess, the bridge between that is I always thought that I was not a languages person. All growing up, in school, I was taking Spanish classes, and that made sense because I'm half Hispanic and I lived in South Central Texas, and then I've been living in LA, and so Spanish made sense as the language to learn. But I never really, I'm gonna feel kind of bad saying this, but I never really enjoyed it. I never really, really wanted to. I wasn't driven, to do it. I wasn't excited about learning it. And so there's, a lot that just didn't stick in my brain. And so as I was going through the classes in school and things weren't sticking in my brain, I just thought, I'm not good with languages. English is going to be it for me my whole life. And that's just the way it is. So it's been extra cool for me to go through this process and to actually enjoy learning a language, and to kind of see the possibility of being, bilingual someday. And so that's been a great benefit for me. And also in the process of learning Norwegian, I've kind of realized how much Spanish has stuck in my brain. There's plenty, of course, that hasn't, but that's been cool as well, to kind of learn words and phrases in Norwegian. And as I'm learning them, I realize I know how to say that in Spanish. So there's been a lot of really cool outcomes, I would say, for me in this process. So that's one thing. That's one realization, something that I learned I had thought about myself my whole life that turns out I was wrong. One of them being I was not a language person. Turns out that was wrong. But that thought process kind of led me to kind of thinking about some other things that I had thought about myself, and kind of examining, I guess I would say, my nature and parts of my nature, and kind of questioning, is that something that feels good? Is that something that I want to stay, or maybe something that could alter or change? And I realized that there's some things about me, maybe even some foundational things about me, that I would want to change. And I don't think that's a bad thing or a wrong thing. For example, one is I would say that I have kind of lived my life ruled by fear. So all of my, thinking through whether I should do something or not, my decisions and all of that, I feel like I've been overly cautious. That's that whole not taking chances, not taking risks. But then that's led to a lot of regrets of things that I haven't done. And so I feel like I do want to be a more courageous, adventurous kind of person. I don't want to make all my decisions, ruled by the various fears in my life. And when I say it out loud, that sounds terrible and it sounds obvious, but that really is how I've lived my life, and how I've made decisions, and what, has kind of guided me step by step, day by day. So that's something that I want to alter about myself, to kind of choose adventure, to kind of follow what excites me and what I'm passionate about, and not be held back, not be put into life paralysis by my fears. Also, I have kind of said I'm not an outdoorsy person, which, I don't know that that's going to change completely, and I'm okay with that. But I do want to be more outdoorsy than I've been. I want to enjoy nature and seek nature more than I have. I mean, I'm not going to be, camping in a tent very much, if at all, the rest of my life. I would rather not ever. Again, I don't see myself, diving out of a plane, or going down to the bottom of the ocean. Like, some of those things will not be happening in my life, and there's nothing wrong with that. But choosing to get outside for sure more than I have. I know specifically in Oslo that there are some really cool parks. And I know of two in particular that I would want to visit, but there are more, and some of it would be easy walking around, and some would require a bit of a hike. And so I feel like that's something that I kind of want to transition a little bit in my life. I want to kind of not be so intimidated or pushed away by some of those hikes, some of those physical activities. And so, yeah, getting outdoors a little more, being a little more outdoorsy, not completely, but a little more. But yeah, those are some of the ways. I'm trying to think of other thoughts I've had on a similar vein. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just going to continue to think about that and to challenge some of those things. I guess that's kind of a good goal to have, and a reminder anytime some of those thoughts come up, some of the things that I've just accepted about myself to be true, that I just at this point assume to be true about myself. I want to challenge those assumptions. I want to, when they come up, really question, is that true about me? And if it is, why? And am I happy with that? Would I want to be different about that thing? So, I think there's a a door has opened for me to really investigate myself, and to kind of think about, who I've been and also who I want to be. And I think that's something that's kind of been coming up more the older I get. And I mean, I do want to have kids someday. That is something that I would like to have happen in my life. So as I get older and get, closer to that stage of my life, I do think about how I would want to raise my kids. And there are some things about me that I would not want to instill in them. And so I would want them to be adventurous and curious, and to follow those curiosities, and to be much more open to trying new things than I've been. Something as simple as foods. I mean, there are foods that I've never tasted, never tried, but I just hear about it or take one look at it and think, I don't like it. Why? Why do I do that? Why do I just say, I don't like it and not even give it a chance? So that's a small example, but, something that that I have started to think about recently. Things that I would maybe want to change about myself, things that I would want to be part of the upbringing of my future kids, things that I would want to instill in them, values that I would want to have in the family that I'm going to be part of creating. What will we be about? What kind of lives will we lead? I feel like another thing I just remembered, I just kind of thought of, is I've been more about stuff in my life. When you think about how you spend your money, and what you kind of value, I feel like I've been more about the stuff, and that's something I want to change. I want to be more about the experiences. So that's something I want to change about myself, and something that I want to be part of my kids' lives is to be about the experiences. I want them to experience people and places, and especially people and places different from themselves. I want them to have an awareness of the world, have a curiosity about the world, to seek out the similarities that they have with people who are so different from themselves. So yeah, I guess that's, I just kind of saw the time on this, and this video is getting kind of long. So I guess I'm going to start to wrap up, but that's the idea. This really kind of, I guess, kind of went all over the place, from learning Norwegian to wanting to be more adventurous and thinking about, the way I want to raise my kids. But, I guess that's indicative of the various thoughts that I have. Many, many thoughts up in that head of mine. So yeah, I hope that this video has been enjoyable to you. I don't know that it's life-changing or anything, but maybe it'll open the door for you to kind of investigate yourself, and to kind of question some of the assumptions you've had about yourself, and see if you really know yourself all that well, and if there are areas of growth for you. So yeah, that's it for now. I should be back with you again Sunday night to chat, and I hope that you have a great end to your week and a wonderful weekend until then. But yeah, 3 nights from now, I'll be back with you, and until next time, ha det!